Part 1. Smoke, Grease, and Anonymity. The silver Shelby Cobra let out a low, angry growl as Logan Westfield guided it onto the gravel shoulder. The sound wasn't right, not to someone who'd spent a lifetime buried in the intricacies of engines. Black smoke curled from beneath the hood, coiling into the dusky orange sky like a warning flare. "Damn it," Logan muttered, pulling his baseball cap lower. His disguise was simple, a faded hoodie, sunglasses, and jeans that cost less than one of his watch straps. It had been working, 3 days off the radar, no assistants, no press, no board meetings. Just the road, just silence. Until now. He popped the hood, instantly recoiling as a column of smoke escaped. The engine block was scalding. A rupture, no doubt. Even with his knowledge, this wasn't a roadside fix. He glanced at his phone, no signal. Of course. A weather-beaten sign loomed 50 yards ahead. Grant's Auto Repair. Honest work, honest prices. The lettering was nearly invisible beneath layers of sun and time. Logan had no real choice. The next city was 60 miles away, and dusk was sinking fast. He closed the hood with a frustrated clang, grabbed a small duffel from the passenger seat, and started walking toward the shop. The building looked like it had fallen asleep sometime in 1979 and never quite woken up. A single rusted gas pump stood guard outside. The bay door was open, revealing a dimly lit garage cluttered with tools, car parts, and old posters of muscle cars past their glory days. "Hello," Logan called. A metallic clang rang out, followed by a string of colorful swears from beneath a dusty pickup. Slowly, a pair of worn boots emerged, then denim coveralls, and finally the weathered, grease-lined face of a man who had clearly been at this for a lifetime. "We're just about closed," the man said, wiping his hands on a rag that only redistributed the grime. His eyes flicked up and down Logan with a mechanic's precision. "But you look like someone in need of help." "Shelby Cobra," Logan said. "Overheating, probably a ruptured coolant line. About a quarter-mile down the road." The man's eyes narrowed slightly. "Cobra? Huh? Original or kit?" "Original. 66, Logan answered. "Restored it myself." "That's an expensive beast to break down in the middle of nowhere," the man observed. "I'm Mason Grant. This shop's mine." "Logan," he replied, deciding to withhold his surname. "Just Logan." Mason studied him for another moment, then nodded. "Let me grab my keys. Might have to tow it in." As Mason walked to the back, Logan noticed movement in the corner. A young woman sat hunched over a workbench, sketch pad in her lap, dark curls pulled back in a messy bun, paint-stained jeans, rolled flannel sleeves. She hadn't looked up once during the exchange. "My granddaughter, Nina," Mason explained, catching Logan's glance. "She's always drawing something." "Nina, say hello." The girl looked up briefly, her eyes sharp, scanning Logan like an X-ray. "Hi," she said, then looked back down. "Don't mind her," Mason chuckled. "She gets lost in those drawings." Part 2. Legacies and Leaks. 20 minutes later, Mason was bent over the Shelby's engine with reverent hands. His fingers moved with the certainty of a man who had seen hundreds of engines rise and fall. "There it is," he muttered, pointing with a small wrench. "Coolant line's blown. Probably got too hot sitting in traffic. These classics weren't built for crawling." "Can you fix it?" Logan asked. "Sure," Mason replied. "But I'll need parts. And they won't be in until morning." Logan reached for his wallet. "I can pay for overnight delivery." Mason shook his head. "Money doesn't make parts appear any faster out here. There's a motel down the road. Clean enough. I'll tow your Cobra for free, and we'll take care of it in the morning. No charge for the look, either." Logan frowned. "I can't let you do it for free." Mason just smiled. "Sometimes you help strangers without knowing why. Besides, it's not every day I get to work on a piece of art like that." As Mason hitched up the car, Logan caught Nina watching from the garage doorway, sketch pad still in hand. When she saw him glance her way, she quickly retreated inside. Later, as Logan walked toward the motel, he heard footsteps behind him. It was Nina, hurrying to catch up. "Grandpa said I should drive you," she said, slightly out of breath. "It's getting dark." Inside her beat-up Honda, Logan noticed one of her sketches had fallen onto the dashboard. He froze. It wasn't just a sketch. It was a detailed blueprint for a car engine, one he had never seen before. The design looked alien and revolutionary. At the motel, Nina dropped him off quickly, distracted by a call. As she drove off, Logan realized she had forgotten her sketch pad. He picked it up. In his room, Logan tried to ignore the pad, but curiosity won. Inside, after pages of typical sketches, trees, still lives, people, came a tidal wave of engineering brilliance. Engine schematics, aerodynamic profiles, sustainable hybrid propulsion concepts, and handwritten notes. If only someone took these seriously. Grandpa's cough is worse. If I could just make one of these work, maybe we could leave. Logan stared, stunned. As CEO of Westfield Automotive, he had poured billions into R&D for systems that didn't come close to what he was holding in his hands. Part 3. Past due debts. The next morning, Mason was already at work. Logan showed up early, sketchpad in hand. Coffee. Mason offered. Black. No sugar. Logan took it gratefully. You always up this early? Sleep gets less useful the older you get, Mason shrugged. As Mason installed the part, Logan asked to look around. The garage revealed more than wrenches and oil stains. Vintage license plates. Photos of cars. Handwritten invoices that read, pay when able, or half now, half after harvest. In the office, one photo made Logan stop breathing. A racing team. Two men beaming next to a trophy. One was unmistakably his father, Victor Westfield. The other, Mason Grant. Logan emerged holding the photo. You knew my father. Mason barely looked up. I did. Crew chief. Fuel injection system was mine. But Westfield Motors patented it. Why didn't you fight for credit? I did. Once. Got a cease and desist letter for my trouble. Wife was sick. I had a daughter. I came home. That night, Logan reviewed Nina's designs again. Then he made 2 calls, one to cancel his flight, the other to his legal team for a background check on Mason. The report confirmed it all. Mason Grant had created the very system that made Westfield Motors a racing legend. But he never received a cent. Part 4. Decisions and Disruptions. When Nina came to retrieve her sketch pad, Logan admitted he'd seen it. You had no right. You're right, he said. But it's brilliant. You know that. You're just some guy in a hoodie. No. I'm Logan Westfield, CEO of Westfield Motors. She froze. Then what are you doing here? Breaking down. In more ways than one. But maybe also breaking through. He showed her a prototype his R&D team had built. Then hers. Side by side. Yours is more efficient. Lighter. Cheaper. So you want to steal it? I want to hire you. Nina hesitated. What about Grandpa? I'm not leaving him. Logan's phone buzzed. A photo. A sleek black sedan outside the diner. Caption. Vincent Cho is here. Nina, he said urgently. That man will steal your work and never look back. She didn't trust easily. But she handed over her sketch pad. Part 5. Truth and Thunder. That night, they confronted Mason. Tell her about Indianapolis. About what my father did. Mason sighed and told the whole story. Applying to Westfield. Bringing designs. Being turned away. Then sued into silence. Why didn't you say anything? Nina asked. What good would it do? I had mouths to feed. Logan promised to make it right. Back pay. Royalties. Public credit. Nina brought out a stack of letters. 3 years of rejections from Westfield Motors. No one even looked. Or maybe the name Grant is blacklisted. Before they could respond, an alert. Vincent Cho seen entering garage through back door. Mason reached for a shotgun. Nina stopped him. Not violence, she said. Let's outsmart them. They packed the designs and left quietly. Logan left behind a sealed envelope. Part 6. Acknowledgement and Dissent. For days later, Mason and Nina received an invitation to the high school auditorium. Inside, the town had gathered. But so had reporters, engineers, and suits. Logan Westfield took the stage. Westfield Motors was built on innovation, but also oversight. Today, we correct one. The screen showed the photo from Mason's office. The true inventor of our fuel system was Mason Grant, and he will receive full credit and royalties. Applause. Then Logan introduced Nina's designs. These will form the base of our next generation of hybrid vehicles. Meet our newest lead designer, Nina Grant. Spotlight. Tears. Cameras. Later, Mason stood beside Logan on stage. Why now, he whispered. Because it's right, even if it's late. Part 7. Restoration and Renewal. 6 months later, Grant's auto repair had transformed. Still the same gas pump out front, but inside, state-of-the-art equipment. Drafting tables, 3D printers, a new sign, Grant Innovation Center, a division of Westfield Motors. Mason, in crisp coveralls, mentored students. Nina worked part-time in the city, full-time in the garage. Her concept car, the Grant one, was headed to the International Auto Show. Once a month, Logan visited. Not to audit, but to learn. One evening, Mason unveiled a new bike. Sleek. Electric. A tribute to both generations. The Apprentice, he called it. Why didn't you tell me? Nina asked. Wanted to surprise my teacher, he smiled. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a young woman entered the shop, sketch pad in hand. I heard you look at designs. Can you take a look? Nina smiled, stepping forward. Let's see what you've got. Outside, Logan turned to Mason. Your father would be proud, Mason said. And yours would be amazed, Logan replied. Some dreams take detours, but the road always finds its way home. End.